Welcome to this special report on C-Soup Radio. Now introducing award-winning investigative reporter Judd McIlvain.
This interview is based on the true stories of the last surviving member of a three-member CIA contract team known as the 231 Club. These three covert soldiers followed orders which sent them around the world to deliver weapons, money, train American allies, and sometimes eliminate its enemies. For the first time ever, a contract killer for the CIA speaks out about his assignments and the loyalty and love he had for his country and his team members. Now, some of the dates and names and places have been changed in order to protect those who were his associates and the family members who are still alive. And his team called him Cowboy because of a nickname he picked up in an Arab country. I'm curious what you think about the Iraqi war, how it's been handled, and what's happened to the CIA's reputation during the war.
I started working in Arab countries in the late 70s, and I have kept contacts with a lot of those people, very high-ranking people, for over 20-some years. And my intel was that there were no weapons of mass destruction, that most of the people knew it over there, and the problem with the war basically was everyone knew that they were going to just roll over Iraq's so-called army. But the problem was what they were going to do afterwards. The plan of going into a country that has had thousands and thousands of years of one kind of mindset and saying, oh, all of a sudden we're going to have democracy, it was known by many to be a ridiculous plan because there was no plan. And now to pull out at this particular time is bad, but staying in there is just as bad.
Since you have worked for the CIA, what do you think about Homeland Security? Do you think it's really going to secure the United States?
I think it's been a horrible, terrible mess. When Tom Ridge came out with his color scheme of threats, I think it was 2 decades ago, Jeff Cooper came out with a handbook that talked about colors of threat. And this was very useful for a person to utilize in order to increase his awareness of his surroundings. For example, you're walking down the street. Everything is fine, so the feeling is green. You all of a sudden start seeing somebody coming from the other direction towards you. They're wearing a trench coat. They look a little funny. So now you think, well, maybe the threat level is yellow. It's keeping your awareness at a higher level now of your surroundings. Now the person's getting a little closer, they slide their hand into their coat, they look suspicious, now the threat goes up to orange. So this is what it was made for, the individual. To have a whole nation trying to use this concept in how they should feel or act is absolutely ridiculous.
Does it mean something for New York, and does it mean the same thing for Coffeyville, Kansas?
Exactly. And that's what, I'm glad you brought that up, because there have been how many billions of dollars spent? I mean, $280 billion, something along that, spent for Homeland Security. And a lot of these little places that are no threat at all are spending the money on air conditioning for their tractors or their, vehicles. I mean, what is that about? The money should be spent where it's really needed the most. How about guarding our nuclear plants? And then they spend, $180 million on natural catastrophes. And what happens with New Orleans?
But then on the other side of the issue, the officials will point out we haven't had another terrorist attack since 9/11.
Well, if they think it's because of what we've done in Homeland Security, they are very, very mistaken.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak out and tell us this amazing story. I'm Judd McIlvain, the troubleshooter, and you've been listening to a special report. Thank you again for listening.